Woo! Did not see that coming. The Las Vegas Raiders, in their opening day with fans in the stadium, clinches the win against the Baltimore Ravens in overtime. Meaning the Raiders have just made the entire AFC West undefeated. Which is more surprising. Both West divisions in the NFL undefeated. The entire NFC North 0-1, and wide receiver on ESPN, don't remember his name can go up right here, believes DEREK CARR is an elite level quarterback. Or maybe is he right? Is DEREK CARR one of my favorite quarterbacks in the entire NFL, an elite level quarterback? Let's find out. Woo, paging well, let's go. As we can clearly see, DEREK CARR has thrown 172 touchdowns to 72 interceptions with a completion rate of 64.4 and 27,331 yards, and with a, well, not the greatest record, with 48 wins and 63 losses since he came into the league in 2014. But does that mean that DEREK CARR is a truly elite level quarterback? In order for us to find out, we had to compare him to other elite level quarterbacks and compare him to the other ones. Now we head to Russell Wilson. Now, if we remove the 2 years, Russell Wilson has been in the league longer than DEREK CARR. Russell Wilson has thrown for 27,728 yards, 219 touchdowns, 62 interceptions, and has a completion rate of 65.3. But now, if we go over to DEREK CARR's, we would see something drastic. Russell Wilson has a higher completion rate. Russell Wilson has about 400 more yards than DEREK CARR. Russell Wilson blows out DEREK CARR in touchdowns by margin. Derek having 72 touchdowns, with Russell Wilson having 119. So there's a difference between 172 and 219. DEREK CARR throwing 10 more interceptions than Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson has a higher win rate than DEREK CARR. But you have to remember, DEREK CARR, in the 8 years he's been in the entire league, has never made it to a single playoff game except for one time in 2016 when the Raiders had Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack, before they went with John Gruden for the 10-year, $100 million contract, which will probably backfire, but who knows. But let's compare him to another quarterback who people think is going to do really well this year. A guy who we believe is going to be one of the future faces of the entire NFL. A guy who's in the same division as DEREK CARR. What about Justin Herbert? Can we compare their stats? Let's find out. If you look at Justin Herbert's stats from 2020 alone, you would realize something quite interesting. DEREK CARR actually has a lead in completion rate with 76.3 compared to Justin Herbert's 66.6. Justin Herbert has more yards than Derek. Derek with 4,103 compared to Herbert's 4,336. Herbert again, more touchdowns with 31 compared to Derek's 27. Herbert having one more interception than Derek, and Justin Herbert having a very, very low QBR rating with 62.6, where surprisingly Derek, I am not kidding, had 101.4. That is very surprising. So, Derek has made less errors than Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert has put up more of the flashy numbers, right? But what about the new GOAT? What about the guy that everybody considers the new guy of the NFL? What about Patrick Mahomes? What can we identify between those two quarterbacks? Two quarterbacks in the same division yet again. And can we, once and for all, say Derek Carr is an elite level quarterback? If you look at Patrick Mahomes' stats and compare them to Derek Carr from 2017 to 2021, as I'm currently recording this, you may be actually surprised to see how interesting the numbers are. Let me just state this. So, completion rate. Derek Carr has a higher completion rate than Patrick Mahomes. I think that one might be obvious to some people. Maybe it isn't. Derek Carr has a 67.6 completion rate, while Patrick Mahomes has a 66.2. Derek Carr actually has more yards than Patrick Mahomes since Patrick Mahomes came to the league in 2017. So Derek Carr from 2017 to 2021 and Patrick Mahomes from 2017 to 2021, Derek Carr actually has more yards, which I would say is impressive, but Patrick Mahomes did sit out 2017, except for week 17, because he was the backup behind Alex Smith. But it is still impressive how much more yardage he has compared to Mahomes. About like 200. Not 200, about 2,000. My bad. About 2,000 more yards, which is practically like half a season. This is not even competition. Patrick Mahomes has more touchdowns and less interceptions, with 117 touchdowns compared to Derek's 91. Mahomes with 24 interceptions with Derek Carr's 41. So Derek has thrown for almost twice the amount of interceptions that Patrick Mahomes has thrown for. And Patrick Mahomes had a higher QBR with 109.1 compared to Derek's 94.4. Which brings up a question now. Is Derek Carr an elite level quarterback? Well, that is subjective. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Now, that brings up the question, is Derek Carr an elite level quarterback? Well, me personally, it's kind of hard to state that. As I stated before, it's subjective, because to some person, elite could mean something completely different from someone else. As well as the fact, think of it like this. Patrick Mahomes, his best ever targets are Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Nikhil Harmon, Sammy Watkins, all great wide receivers. Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Hell, even Josh Gordon, Josh Allen last year, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, John Brown. What about Derek Carr? What was Derek Carr's best ever target? Well, when it came to yards, touchdowns, and all that, it was Amari Cooper with 1,153 yards. And then the second is Nelson Aguilar with only 896. And when I mean target, I mean wide receiver. Because his best ever target is totally Darren Waller. We can all agree Darren Waller is a top 3 tight end. But Derek Carr has never truly had an actual number 1 receiver since Amari Cooper left to Dallas. And even then, Amari Cooper, let's not forget, Amari Cooper probably didn't hit his prime up until Dallas. So Derek Carr's best ever target of the wide receiver was a young Amari Cooper who wanted out of Oakland because he didn't get the contract he wanted. Same thing with Khalil Mack, and that's why they were both not with the Raiders. You start to see that all these elite level quarterbacks, they have actual talent with them. Even Justin Herbert, right, has Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. He had Hunter Henry last year and now has Jared Cook this year, right? He has Austin Eckler. Derek Carr doesn't really have much aside from Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs. I mean, aside from them, it's just average guys. I mean, Henry Ruggs, the third, could possibly be the next Tyreek Hill, but we haven't really seen that. Hunter Renfrow is like a really good slot receiver. You're Julian Edelman type of player. Zane Jones didn't really do much up until, well, overtime. And I guess Edwards showed up when things were needed. In the fourth quarter, Derek Carr doesn't really have much around him. And their offensive line this year is not the greatest. And their defense last year was horrendous to the point where they literally pulled on Atlanta Falcons, but for like the end of the half of the season. Remember, they were like 6-3. They were like a playoff team. And then their defense happened, and then... Yep. So is Derek Carr an actual elite level quarterback? To be honest, potentially. Potentially Derek actually is. And that he just needs, pieces around him to truly be an elite level quarterback. Sort of like Josh Allen last year. Well, not just last year, his entire career. Josh Allen before year 3 was a rookie, then was more of a running back. Then he actually became accurate, throwing to receivers left and right. But he had pieces around him. He had all the receivers. He even had a tight end. He had a decent O-line. His defense wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't terrible. And he had a coach, offensive coordinator, people who believed in him. I don't think Derek truly had that in his entire career. Derek was, like a 3rd round pick? 2nd round pick? He never truly was, the front runner. He was always, the guy that you don't expect, So, to finish up this entire video, is Derek Carr an elite level quarterback? At this moment, Derek Carr is the tier below it. The tier with Matthew Stafford, Ryan Tannehill, I guess, Justin Herbert. But if people truly believe him, if he gets actual peace behind him, if this season turns to be the season that week 1 was supposed to be, if Derek Carr can continue to get over 400 yards in passing, maybe Derek Carr could actually take that massive leap. The leap that I know that Raiders fans believe Derek Carr can truly take. Well, this is the first video I've made in a long time. Next up, we're going to do predictions. No, we're going to talk about games. And I guess predictions for week 2. That I can also do. And, yeah, that's it. Right now, Derek Carr is a tier below, but has potential to be number 1. Probably not, but could probably be an elite.